Hey Vasi, how you doing?
Hello, I'm
Good
good.
to
How are you
Good.
guys?
Very
Yeah, very
good.
good.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, excellent stuff.
No,
So
thank you for your time.
no problem at all. No problem at all. It's what we're here for. We're here to help. Whenever you need any help, just give us a shout, and we will chat to you. So just let us know. You're in Bulgaria right now, yeah?
So I'm currently in Bulgaria. I came back because we wanted to start like a business, and we were thinking about many different things and looking through strategies and stuff like that. And then
hmm
we realized the best thing to do is something that we've studied. And when I say we, I mean me and my brother. So we decided to start our video production company. He already has
Great.
quite a lot of experience. He is screenwriter here in Bulgaria.
hmm
So we just thought, yeah, let's give it a try together. Let's see how it goes. And we're still at the very beginning. We do have our business plan prepared. We're talking to people that will take part. We have sorted our financial plan. We have came up
Perhaps
with a name for the company.
perhaps run us through. Hey Vasi, can you hear me? Can
Yes,
you hear
of
me?
course.
Perhaps
Yes.
run us through your initial ideas for your business plan. So to give us a bit of a grounding where you are currently and where you see the business going in the future.
Okay, so at the beginning, we are still recruiting people, of course, for the so all of them. We won't have anyone who will be like on a permanent contract for the very beginning. It will be like freelancers, and we'll work with
What's your
people when we have a project.
what's the focus for the business?
So for now, this is also something that I would like to ask you for. So for
hmm
now, we're thinking of concentrating on advertisement, doing adverts for individuals and also like for corporations, and
hmm
basically making videos for individuals or adverts, videos for corporations. So we just want to start small. And of course, the ambition is that one day we can have our own production, something bigger, but we need to start with something small.
Okay.
So
Nice. Got it.
yeah, yeah. And ideally, we
Uh,
want to make videos like for other platforms like YouTube and stuff, etc., etc.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
So,
What's
sorry,
your
go for it,
what's
James.
yeah what's your current situation with regards to the city that you're based in? How big is the city that you're
So,
in, and
so the
how close are
city
you to the
is
second city?
yeah. So the city is the second biggest city in the country.
Okay.
Uh, the biggest city is the capital, which is Sofia. And in Sofia, there are quite a few production companies. Most of them also dealing with advertisements. The biggest ones they do like TV shows, etc. In my town, however, there are no production companies,
Okay, wow.
and there
Okay,
are
good.
Okay.
yes, and there are a lot like there are advertisement agencies, but no production companies that you can get your video done or everything. And there are loads of companies here, not only the ones that come from Bulgaria, but also from abroad.
So
So
you're
yeah.
really focusing on small to medium-sized businesses.
hmm
Oh, we're getting a bit of feedback on the line here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
you're really focusing on small to medium-sized businesses, and you want to create online content for them. In order to
Yes.
do
Well,
what?
mhm.
That's the key
So
to
in the
the
future,
equation is what do you want? What do they get for the video? Is it to advertise their
um,
business? Is it to find new clients? Is it as a video to live
so
on their website? What's your plan?
so
What's your
we
idea?
will So we want to provide services, for example, also for advertisement, also
hmm
something, for example, some companies they want to build connections with their clients, and I believe that the best way nowadays is with video, um, and also to, of course, to include it on their website. So basically, all of those things.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, I
Shall we
think
run
So we
through?
want,
Shall we run through? your SWOT analysis, Vasi, just so we get a good understanding of your business. We'll do something called a SWOT analysis. Have you heard of that before?
I haven't heard of that, no.
So SWOT is SWOT, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I think if we run through something like that structurally, Ben and myself will probably be able to get most of our questions answered within that, I think. Do you think that's right, Ben? Right thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Why not? It's definitely a useful thing to do.
So the first thing is I'm just going to write this down. Are your strengths of your business? So your if you want to think about your business plan and take into account what you've just told us about the area, you need to list us. Let's just say for the time being and just for the webinar's sake, just give us 3 strengths first of all. So if you want to type in 3 strengths into your comment section there, where you've got to talk to us, just say like, okay, I'm guessing number 1 would probably be your location and the fact that there are no other production companies around.
Yes, this is the very first one. So the location.
Okay.
Also, I would say one of the things that we want to do is like the lead time. So we will try our best to have the shortest lead time. So basically the production time will be, so I would say this is something else. When it comes to price-wise, the prices are pretty similar everywhere, also in the production companies in the capital, so it's really difficult to bring the prices down.
But let's focus on like one thing at a time. So let's focus on individual units of strength. So the number one strength at the moment is that your location is your one production company in a sea of many other companies that are potentially looking for video content that don't and probably won't go to Sofia, your capital city, to actually get that done.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you are at this present.
Can you guys see this
one of one
board, by the way?
Yes.
Can you guys see this thing?
We can see the board. Have you written anything on there, Ben?
Yeah.
I can't see anything written yet.
Okay, hang on. Maybe I need to unclick it.
Yes, location, one production company in the area. That's cool. Yeah, that's it. I can see it. Yep.
Oh, it's disappeared.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I cleared it by mistake. Put it back.
Okay, so these are strengths, right? So they're strengths first of all.
Yes.
So if we write down that they're strengths as well.
Yeah.
Are we back? Are they back? Is it?
I'm just writing. You guys carry on.
Okay, so strengths first of all is your location. So this is something that you need to definitely make sure that you utilize as best as you possibly can. Talking about locations, where Ben and I have worked really well with regards to corporate film in the past. I worked for Dragonfly Productions. Ben worked for Headspace.
Okay.
And we worked together on Shine Squad and a few other companies where we did corporate video production company in London, corporate video production work in London.
Yes.
Try and find where industries get together for local events. When I say local events, I mean events that happen locally that are actually possibly international events or anything like that. A big example would be something like a trade show or a trade fair, where companies of a particular industry will all go to one trade fair, and they will say, we are whoever we are, and we're doing whatever we're doing. And they all have individual stands. And on those stands, what you tend to find is there'll be content on the stands. There'll be things like pencil sharpeners, squidgy balls, brochures, maybe a presentation stand. And usually, more often than not, there'll be a TV. And on that TV will be their advertisement content or whatever it is. And these places are great places to go to pick up business. So if you can find that you've got anywhere like that within your city, within your location, a regular events hall where they're doing something like similar events like Excel in London or Olympia in London or Earls Court or somewhere like that, where you can go to trade shows that happen all the time. So you can meet these businesses face to face. You can look at their TV screens and you can say, "Oh, I understand that you've obviously been working with stuff in the past with video content. Have you thought about updating this or doing something different, or I don't see a video, I don't see a TV screen or a video on your stand. Are you interested in potentially getting some video content? So these places are a great place to first find places for this. And I would also say as well that if depending upon how far away you are from Sofia, it might make sense to go to these in Sofia as well with your brother.
Yes. Yes, it's not far, and there are more events happening there. We have events happening here as well, but in Sofia they're more often. So I think the best thing it will be, as you said, to attend both locations.
Great. Okay.
So that's an opportunity. Trade fairs, meeting businesses face to face.
Yeah, definitely, that's an opportunity. But it's certainly something that you need to link in with your location, because you don't want to be spending loads of money going to trade fairs and not getting any success. You want to be able to start locally and go to as many local of these events as you possibly can, meet as many of these businesses as you possibly can, and then try and introduce your unique selling points as a production company to them. Okay.
What are your unique selling points?
Oh yeah, here we go. Unique selling points as well.
What makes you different?
Yeah, something to definitely bear in mind.
Yes, that's the thing that I'm also struggling with. So yes, of course, we'll be working with people who are qualified, who are passionate for what they're doing. We want to create valuable content. We don't want just to create something for the sake of it. However, I'm not sure how I can put this into words or into one word.
Let me give you my thoughts on this. So two things that you just said. One thing is like creating beautiful, what did you say? Valuable content and beautiful images.
Yeah.
That whilst those are noble desires for your business, everybody under the sun will be telling their potential clients, we can create HD images for you, or 4K images. We can use like the best cameras. We can use really motivated people. We can do this, we can do that. And the problem with that is it's all about you. So you need to turn it around, and you need to find out what they want. Why do they want a video? And you just need to ask them the question, because people want videos for different things. And the power with that is this really comes down to sales. You sell them their vision. You sell them their future.
Yeah.
And the vehicle for that is your video. And that's what makes you different. You are going to help them get to their future ideal goal with your services. Nobody else is doing this. Everybody's going into meetings going, hey, I can do this for you, I can do that for you, we can do this for you. And the clients are like, okay, that sounds great, but everybody's saying this. Not many people will go into a business meeting and say to their clients, what does your future look like? Or what are you finding tricky at the moment? And they'll say, well, do you know what? We're finding it really hard to communicate with all of our other sections of our company. So instead of like having meetings, we want to create like a training video thing. And if you find out that the reason that they want the training videos is so that they can communicate to their business better, then that means then you can sell that to them. You can say to them, hey, okay, so the real power with our videos is that like it makes communication incredibly easy, and we can create, and you can really hammer home all the communication aspects of the video, whatever they are. Does that make sense?
That makes actually perfect sense. Yes, exactly. And
so I guess that's an opportunity, isn't it?
It is a great opportunity as well. Yeah, it can come under opportunities, but also I think because lots of the times, as you said, you just go into a meeting and basically the person who tries to sell you something, they talk about their own company, and you just get bored really. But when people turn around and they ask you questions and they're interested in your business and everything, then it actually starts making sense, and they believe you, they trust you. I think you earn their trust this way.
Yeah,
That's really, really good.
Yeah, without a doubt. What would you say would be another strength that we've just listed on here? So we've done what we can list on here. So we've done location. You mentioned just now quick turnaround time. Is that something that you think that you guys will be better at than anybody else?
We will be aiming for that. The problem here is that there are a lot of companies that they're not absolutely honest with their clients. So let's say they give 1 week, and then it comes to be 2 weeks or 3 weeks, which I think is absolutely unacceptable. So we will just try to fight against this, which I'm not sure I can even say it's strength, because maybe there are other companies that they can provide the same.
Sorry, Vasi, I think you just dropped out a second.
I heard it clearly.
You heard it, James? Okay, fine.
Yeah, I heard it clearly.
Maybe it was me that dropped out.
Okay.
Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, so I can't particularly say that this is one of our strengths, but it will be something that we'll be always aiming for and always like promising our customers, because I think this is really, really important. Especially when you run a production companies, and let's say you work on something bigger as well, you always need to make sure that you are on time and on just following the schedule.
So shall we put that down as a USP, unique selling point? So that
which is also a strength.
Which is also a strength, yeah. On time, under promise and over deliver. That's a classic business phrase. But again, I would be kind of careful with this one, because whilst this is like a company ethos. This is a good thing for you to have at the core and to always monitor. Are we delivering on time? Are we delivering what we promise? But if you go into a meeting with a client with that message, that might not be enough for them. They might think, well, of course, this is like the basis of what you should be offering us.
Of course.
So I don't know, perhaps if the client values it, then they will that will resonate with them, and that'll be great. But other clients will be like, well, we don't give a shit if it takes you 5 months. We just want something amazing, but we don't care about the time.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really important to find out what their expectations are first. But you're right, it is important. So on time, under promise, over deliver.
Okay, but as you said, it's really important to know they might not care about the time. They might be okay if it's longer, but they just want this particular video or this quality or this length. Okay.
So we're kind of jumping all around the shop here, and I think this is a useful way to go forward. But so this is kind of once you have clients, and once you are becoming, maybe you've got 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients. But I'm just going to say this because it came into my head now, and it's something that I know that I definitely struggled with, and I think that James definitely struggled with within his businesses as well, is managing clients' expectations is a huge threat. Actually, we'll put it down as a threat, but it's you have to really find a framework or a structure within which you can manage their expectations, because they will expect the world, and they won't want to pay for it. By which I mean,
this is why we under promise, isn't it? Because if you under promise, I mean USPs, I would never put that you under promise as a unique selling point on your website. It needs to be something that you keep hidden from other people. But your unique selling point, I guess it's more of a philosophical ethos when you come across actually pricing up work and telling clients what you want to do. And Ben's right to say that it's a threat, because that's the biggest problem that you're going to face is when you approach a client with the best possible price, the best possible solution to their problem, and they ultimately say, this is great, yeah, let's do it. You do it, and then on the set they say, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. I once did a film for a credit card company, and we did nearly 130 takes of a guy putting his hand into his pocket, taking out the credit card and holding it in front of the camera. And as he held it, I'll show you, he just doing this in front of the camera. The fact that his thumb and his finger were, the first take was the best one, and we actually flipping used it, which is so annoying, but that's the way it works. But when he did this and took it out, the angle wasn't right. He was doing this, then he was doing this, then he had it like this, and he had it like that. And because the client was on set, and because the client was watching everything all the time, and they insisted on being there, it was a very expensive job, so they were there. We literally spent the best part of an entire afternoon doing this one take, and it went on. I say doing this one take, doing this one scene. Well, not even this one scene, this one pickup, and it just carried on all the way through. So something like client expectations at the pitch level, when you approach people and you're saying to them, we over deliver, we are quick at turnaround and all that sort of stuff. 9 times out of 10, the turnaround actually isn't your problem or the production company's problem. It's the client's problem, because they want their card to come out at a certain angle, or they're not happy with the final cut, or they're not happy with the script, or they're not happy with the way the dog smelt the lemon, or they're not happy with the way that something did that, or whatever something happens. It's very much client management is a huge deal, and Ben's absolutely right to stick it down as threats, because it is just the number one thing that will make you jaded if you don't find a way to counter it or deal with it in the best possible way. A lot of production companies will have big pre-production meetings where they do the whole plan for the entire production, including things like the script attached to storyboards, the castings, all this sort of stuff, all clearly defined. And then they'll have one client on the shoot day that'll help them with different things, so there's not too much chit chat between middle management. There's just normal talks between one client, and then they'll say you're only limited to 5 drafts of edit, and then that same client that was there on the shoot is also there in the edit, and that kind of helps an awful lot, because you have one person that represents a client all the way through, and 9 times out of 10 there's someone that you pick who seems to be the most agreeable, and they help. That's definitely some way of kind of counteracting this little managing client expectations threat.
Does that make sense? Vasi, you still there? Oh, no.
After all that.
Hello.
Okay, maybe we'll get her back. It looks like she was really listening.
Yeah. Listening intently, stationary.
Yeah. What happens if I click on it? Nothing.
Oh no. So annoying.
How much does this webinar platform take up on the pipe?
I mean, should be lightweight. I don't know whether it matters that she's in Bulgaria. It shouldn't do. It should just matter about like internet speed. I mean, my speed isn't that much. That's why we've got SDHD. Oh, you moved. Hello, can you hear us?
She moved. Hello.
Oh,
okay, she's back.
We can see you. Can you hear us?
We can't hear you, Vasi. Turn your mic on. Vasily, turn your microphone on.
It is on apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There we go.
It is on.
There we go.
Good.
You came back. What happened?
I did hear everything you said.
Okay.
I have no idea why it dropped, but I did hear everything you said.
Okay, perfect. Good. Great.
Yeah.
Hey, look, your face was frozen. It
Yeah.
looked like you were really listening intently to us.
Yeah, it looked you've frozen.
I
Oh,
was.
We've lost everything on the whiteboard.
This makes
It's okay.
perfect sense, and it actually solves the problem of how to deal with, as you said, the customer's expectations when you have someone to represent the customer and keep an eye on the production and then on the editing.
Exactly.
Yes.
They become your go-to person, and communication as well. I mean, communication is the key here, right? It's how do you explain, how does the customer communicate to you, and how do you communicate to the customer, and how do your visions align, and how do you make sure that they are aligned? Because if they're together at the beginning and you walk them through the process, and they know what they to expect, and they know what they should be getting, but that they don't expect too much. If your visions are aligned at the beginning, then at the end it'll be smooth. If they're not aligned at the beginning and they're expecting something else, then at the end, when they want another cut done, or they want a longer version, or they want a shorter and a longer version, and then of all of these different contingencies that could possibly happen, you should have things in place for. And it really comes down to, at the beginning of the thing, don't be afraid. And it's kind of counterintuitive when you first start out, because you want to say to your client, I will bend over backwards to make you happy. I will do everything that I possibly can to make you a great video. And if that means that I'm working all night and our editing team do you 12 million cuts, and we spend like an extra day shooting, then I'll do that for you. And that's the impulse, because you want to win the job, right? But
yes,
you need to drop all of that, because you need to win the job, do whatever you need to do to win the job, but you need to make sure that and it really comes down to, don't underprice yourself. So you need to make sure that they're aware that if they go above the amount of cuts that say that to them, you'll do a rough cut and then a final cut, and then any further revisions will cost you. We'll do 1 day shoot, and any further extra day shoots will cost you. We will do all of these extra. You can have a production manager, or all of these extra things that you can add onto the budget. And don't underprice yourself. Make sure that they value you. So that means that Sorry, carry on.
Sorry. How would you say? So yes, I absolutely agree with what you say, and you want to earn their respect as well. However, how do you do this when you just start? You know, you just start, you don't really 100% know what you're doing, and you don't have this self-esteem, let's say.
It comes down to you have to fake it till you make it. You just have to like project that image. And it comes down to the beginning of what I was saying at the beginning. You have to forget about selling them the features, forget about saying, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, because it's about you. You sell them on their vision of the future, of what they need. What problem are you solving for them? Because that's where the value is. If you find a problem for a business that you can solve, and you're solving the problem, you could sell them a video for like £20,000. If you find the right problem to solve with your video, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that video is like a one take talking head video, like one shot, one take, just an interview, whatever it is. If that solves a problem that's like painful for the company, then they will pay you for it. So that's where the value is. Do you see what I'm saying? The value isn't in, we'll do these cuts, these cuts, these cuts, these cuts. Does that answer
Yeah.
does that go towards your question?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
Also as well, I want to chip in with an idea for me, Vasi, as well. Sorry to cut you off there.
Yes.
Just a quick
No,
one regarding getting work. Provided
Yes.
you have the materials required to get work tomorrow, which is what I've written down on here. The website with contact
Yes.
form, marketing strategy, access to labor and equipment, showreel clips and testimonials. If any of those things are missing, you're not going to be able to get any work. That's the simple thing. You need to have all of those things in place, or else you're not going to get any work. The most important thing on that list is probably the last one, number 4, the showreel, the clips, and the testimonials. Now, if you have access to labor and equipment, and you have access to extremely cheap or free labor and equipment, then you need to use that to your advantage and offer to a bunch of companies that you know will not pay you. You just say to them, you approach them and you say, look, we're willing to do some interviews with your top salesmen. We want to do some interviews with your top people to talk about your product. We also want to do, because interviews don't cost very much money and they look great and they're good testimonials. They instantly sell a business. Another thing would be a product video as well. You offer to do those things for absolutely nothing. Then you get your showreel and your clips from that, and then you get your testimonials from it as well. That's something that you have to be prepared to do, and not many businesses are prepared to do that because they don't have cheap access to labor or equipment, and they believe that by doing no work they're going to get work, but that's totally wrong. In this particular type of problem solution solving media company that you're creating, the only way you're going to get work is by making work, and by doing work helps you get more work. So if you end up getting, say, a mechanic that fixes cars, and you do the top USPs for that mechanic, you solve a problem with showing that he or she is fair, that he or she is good pricing, all these different things that you want to show, and then you put it on YouTube and it does really well, and the guy ends up making some money out of it. If you have that, you can then take that to a very similar company, a tradesman or a tradeswoman that, say, fixes motorbikes, and you can say, well, here's something that we did for cars. Here's something, and this is something we'd like to do for you. And you can find it a lot. It helps you a lot easier to kind of like target and retarget based on the stuff that you do. But you have to, especially in the early days, you have to be able to sacrifice your initial stuff, because it's very, very difficult to show them anything that you've done if you've not done anything. But also as well, if you have access to equipment and to labor, I can point at it. I can actually point at it. If you have access to labor and equipment, you could also go and do some mock stuff as well. You could do something for, say, these sunglasses. You could be like, do a video on the sunglasses and make a video about sunglasses, and then make it look really beautiful, make it really decent, really interesting. Make it sell a particular type of USP about that sunglasses, and then you can go out and get product videos. So yeah, we can also do the clips.
So as you said, we can also go to companies in particular and say, okay, we want to make, let's say, an interview or talk about your product for free. And then additionally, we can also just do other videos that are not for particular companies. Is this what you mean?
Yeah, completely. Just so you've got yourself. Okay. Yeah, just so you've got yourself a particular type of branded feel, and you can show people at when you walk into their shop, or you can show people when you walk into their industrial unit, or wherever you're going. Say you're going to a trade fair or something like that. You can show them a bunch of stuff that you've actually done, and it's really, really vital that when you approach these companies and you offer them something for free. Say, for example, you've got an investment company, for instance, and they have a whole bunch of fund managers, and there's like tons of different fund managers that work on different funds. Only offer to interview one, and do that one interview really well and for nothing, and make sure that all the infographics are good, but don't interview anybody else. And then if they say, oh,
Just
Can
one.
you do our? Yes, because then they'll be like, we'd like you to do our entire team, so we can have this all on our website.
Yeah,
We think it would look really good. And then when that happens, you can say, well, it's £1,000 per interview, or you can say it's £1,500 per interview, or whatever your costs are. You have to make sure that you get them covered. But if you approach a product company, don't just approach a product company that does one product. Approach a product company that does several products, but only offer to do one video, one product.
For one product, of course, yes.
Yeah, and make it abundantly clear.
That's really good.
Make it abundantly clear that you do not do this normally. You're doing this to set up a business so you can become a business, and they know they know, like, they're giving you a chance, but also at the same time, when you come up with the goods, they won't be surprised when you say, we'd like to invoice you first. Also, as well, touching on invoices, and I promise I'll shut up in a second, but touching on invoicing, the most important thing I definitely took out of my time as working in corporate video is that you work out your costs for the video before you obviously invoice them. You work out the costs before the video, everything. So the cost of actors, the cost of getting the film edited, the cost of absolutely everything into play. And you make sure that that's in the first 50% of your invoice. So then you invoice them for the first 50% up front, and that's a deposit that they don't get back if they cancel. And then you don't start the job. No one turns up on set. No cameras get hired until that 50% is paid. And then after the video is done, the client does not get the video until the final 50% is paid. So you get your film covered with the first 50%, and then after that you then invoice them for the final 50, and they don't get the film finished in any shape or form. They don't get it finished until they give you the money, because
and that 50% should include everyone's wages, should include your time on set if you're there. Everybody should get paid. And then if the client turns around and says, no, we don't want it, see you guys later, nobody's lost anything. Everybody's been paid, and it's been a good learning experience. When they pay the final 50%, then that's profit for the business.
Yes.
Not to pay wages or whoever.
That's, let's say, the profit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go to questions in a second. So actually, have you got any questions for us so far?
No, you answered my questions. So, one of my most was how to approach potential clients, which you answered.
So, just on that, actually, I would like to say something more on that. Can you hear me? You've frozen again. Hello.
I guess we should just assume that she can hear us.
Yeah.
Until we don't see her screen.
Yeah, I'm assuming that you can hear me. Hope you can. If you can't, then.
When in doubt, turn the camera off, Vasi. Just switch your camera off.
Yeah, switch back on and off. It seems to reset things. Anyway, I'll carry on. So approaching clients, a really good method for you to do, as well as we've spoken about the trade shows that you can go to. You can go up to them and you can show them something that James and I used to do for James's company, was take an iPad with us. Did you mention this before, James?
No, I didn't mention the iPad. No.
An iPad with a show reel on for various different people that you use for maybe a couple of videos that you've had, or if you're working with cinematographers, maybe use their stuff. And you can approach people at their stands, and it's a very low pressure approach. You just start a conversation with them. They say, what are you doing? You just say, I'm here to meet a few clients today. You get into conversation. What do you do? What do you do? You show loads of interest in their product. They show some interest in you, and then you introduce the video. You show them the stuff that you do, and then you ask them, have they ever thought about having a video done? That's a really good way of doing it. Another really good way of doing it is you can ring companies, and you can just pretend that you're a student and ask them what their current problems are. And so say, for example, you ring a plumbing company and you say, I'm doing some business research. I'm in for a local business.
Hear you.
Oh, did you hear any of that? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear you.
Did you hear
Hello?
that? Did you hear all of that?
Hello?
Or
Yes,
you,
yes.
okay. Perfect.
All of that, yes, yes.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So, yeah, you have a local business on the phone, and you're positioning yourself as a student doing some research on what the local business, what's the atmosphere of the local area, for example. And you say that you're ringing a plumbing company, for example. It could be anybody.
Yes.
And you're chatting to them, and you ask the question, let's try and phrase it properly. You ask the question, what are your problems? What are your major struggles at the moment? What are the things that are really holding you back? What's causing you pain?
Yeah.
What are the things that keep you up at night?
Yes.
And then you just listen to them, and they will tell you all sorts of stuff. So they will say like, oh, I've done, I get loads of clients with this, but like it's really hard to find these types of clients because they're like really tricky, for example. Or they'll say whatever they say, but that gives you super powerful information. You found some information. It's basically market research, and then you just need to find a way to link making a video with their problem. So you don't approach the same company, or perhaps you do. Perhaps perhaps you re-approach them later on and say, "Hey, I've set up this company. I'm trying to do this." But I want to try and give you a concrete example. So, for example, say a company says, "I have a problem with finding clients." I mean, that's always a company's problem, right? You then can approach the company or companies like it with the proposition.
Yes.
I notice you don't have any video on your website. Did you know that having a video explaining your product is the #1 way that you can find new clients in this certain area that you've already done the research on? And that makes the value proposition that makes it way more interesting to a potential client. The message, instead of approaching somebody and saying, "Hey, can I make a video for you?" and they're like, "No, I don't want a video. Thanks very much." You approach them and say, "Hey, I want to solve your problem with this video." And they're like, "Oh, actually, you know what? I do have that problem. That problem is a big problem. And yeah, I have been thinking about having a video. All right, great. Let's do it." Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Yes.
Great.
So weaknesses. I don't think we've covered many weaknesses. What do you think your weaknesses are?
Many. The weaknesses, I would say, mainly is that we don't have that much experience. Obviously, the team members that we already, we have our degrees, we have experience, etc. However, we don't have much experience on the market. Also, for example, what really worries me is that I will be relying a lot on the people I'll be working with. I think they're the most important people, because let's say I have some basic knowledge on different topics, for example, on how to edit, on how to film, etc. But I cannot say that I can do the edit. So this is what really worries me, is will I be good enough if I don't have particularly in-depth these knowledges? Or is it okay because I'll be concentrating on other aspects and I'll be helping and stimulating the people that will be in charge for this?
Well, I think there's two things here. First of all, your experience doesn't matter. Having said that, as long as you can do the job, as long as you can do the job, nobody cares whether or not you can, how long you've been doing it. They care about what you're going to deliver. If you don't trust yourself or your team, then it's a really good idea to approach a company and say, we'll do this for free. We're trying to build up experience, because then you're not putting your reputation online. You're not putting like anybody else's, really not putting relationships online. You can learn and you can grow through doing that. But because you do have to have like rock solid confidence that you are able to do what you promise, right?
Yeah.
But that won't take long.
No, it won't take long.
Sorry, carry on, James.
No, I'm just agreeing with you, Ben. It won't take long at all. And only take like 2 videos. You'll be rocking and rolling once you've done 2. Definitely. It's true. It's
I hope so.
provided you get a really clear understanding of your workflow. So workflow is really key.
Yes.
So I would put weaknesses in as sort of not very experienced, and I'd put something like workflow.
Yeah.
Whoops, workflow, not necessarily. Workflow to be determined.
Yes.
And that is not just. That's not just like going, okay, we go on set, we shoot that day, we do this that day, we do that day. This is about like when you're working and when you're on set and when you've got a big job and it's taking you 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
How do you book in? How do you book in the next job? Who's doing that? If you're on set and you've got people on set doing work for you and you're working on a particular job, how do you find another job? And that's all about workflow. You have to get that flow moving. You have to be like, right, okay, I am a producer. I'm producing this film, but I'm also producing the next batch of work. So you have to get stuff lined up. You've got to keep your diary full, but also at the same time, you have to keep your diary free. So you have to keep your diary full with production.
Yeah.
You have to keep your diary free with business development. Because if you don't get that balance right, you'll end up with big gaping periods of no money whatsoever, of no work whatsoever.
Exactly.
And then you find yourself unable to go to trade fairs, unable to go to Sofia to find work, or unable to go to your local trade fair to find work because you don't actually have the resources to be able to do it because you haven't had any work for a while.
Yeah.
So it all kind of like clicks in together. Yeah.
Okay, so finding the balance between working on a project that you already have, and working on a project that you already have, and then at the same time looking for potential clients. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. You got to get that right.
That's really good. Because I think sometimes you might just concentrate on what you're doing at the minute and be all happy you have the project and everything, but not thinking about the next couple of months that you might not have any.
It's so
100%.
true. Yeah, it's so true. It's a real tricky one. There's also a big task to play when you're dealing with small to medium sized enterprises, is that you have to kind of like give them the genesis of them to think that they want video content themselves, and that's something that can be done through clever marketing. So if you had a marketing strategy where you sent a basket of fruit to every business in your local town with a link to your website which shows your show reel, for example, you have to make sure that those people are actually going onto the website and being like, oh, this is a video production company. We need video. You know, there's that. It's a real tricky one. Because ultimately it's sales, like Ben was saying, it definitely is sales. And if you don't have sales experience, then you're going to find it quite hard getting sales experience. And to be perfectly frank with you, the most nervous aspect of this whole process isn't actually the stepping up to them and asking them if they want a video. It isn't actually having a conversation with them on a trade stand or anything like that. It's that first meeting where you have to go and pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nervous one. That's the one where you have to like work out how you run the dynamic with your business partner. Do you present the videos that you previously presented them already, or do you just sit back and ask them a series of very simple questions to get exactly the sort of information that they need, and then you make it a pre-production meeting at the pitch? So you get them, like Ben was saying earlier on, you get them to sell you their idea.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'm just reading through the notes on the. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just making sure.
Nope, hear you perfectly. It's all good.
Do you have any, basically what we're doing, going through to the website, having registered the company, speaking with an accountant, also having a lawyer that will contract success. We'll start working on the clips, show reels, as you said, which was a great idea of actually going and approaching companies and doing it for free for them. Also, do you have a suggestion on how to expand on something more in the future? But do you think this is a good place?
Yeah.
Sorry. Did you get that, James? I didn't get much.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah. So
Okay.
she's saying that, do we think that she's in a good place to start doing everything? I think that, like, there's no reason why, I don't know what the laws are in Bulgaria, but there's no reasons why you can't start this as a sole trader. You could always be a sole trader as you come into this. You don't necessarily have to have a contract with a client. You don't necessarily have to have anything like that. Just provided that they've got public liability insurance. In the UK anyway, that's always kind of been the way that it's been. And provided you get that 50% deposit up front, then you're okay. Yeah,
you want as few barriers between you and actually starting as possible, because again, the impulse is like, oh, I need to make everything perfect. And this is definitely my impulse. Like, you need to make the website perfect. Yes. You need to make the marketing strategy perfect. You need to do all of this, and you need to do this before you start finding clients. Actually, the first thing you should be doing is finding clients whilst working on everything else, because until you have a client, you don't have a business. Once you have a client, you have a business.
Yeah. That's so true. So true. You aren't anything until you have a company willing to pay you for your video content. When that happens, then you can think about adding all the little trims around the outside. You can think about going to get your solicitor or your lawyer. You can think about all that stuff. But if you're not putting all of your energy into finding work, then work won't find you, and you are just wasting time. There's nothing. There's an analogy that I always like to think about with the garage band that is sat in the garage, and they've all got their instruments in their hands. The drummer's sat with the drums. Everybody's stood there in the garage thing, and the lead singer just turns around to them and says, "So what's our name gonna be? What should we call ourselves?" And all they think about, all they do is just spend the rest of that day worrying about what they're gonna call themselves, and they don't play any music. And that's the whole point.
Exactly.
You've got to play music. You've got to get that. You've got to start making music. Theoretically.
Okay, so if I get it wrong, or if I get it right, so basically we don't even have to have our website completely done. We don't have to have our show reel ready, before finding actually clients. So we can start and go looking for people that would like to get their video done, even if we don't have our website ready yet.
Especially if you're offering them to do it for free. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, if you're asking people to pay you, then you can go for it, and people it's just going to be harder to find clients without a website, but you should be building up the potential leads. You should be building up relationships. You should be figuring out how really can you take somebody, a stranger, right? How can you take that person into a relationship where they want to pay you money for your service? Like, you can start to figure all of that stuff out whilst you're doing all of the building stuff. Because as I said before, like the impulse is to try and build everything till it's perfect and then start. You should start looking for clients first. Absolutely.
Yeah, just that's it. Just start looking for clients straight away. Start trying to find your unicorn, the client that totally understands you, that completely understands what you're trying to do, and that knows that future content will cost money. You have to make sure that is absolutely fundamental. You can say to them, look, we will give you this video. It'll be a 10-minute masterpiece about this one product or this one person that we're going to interview. But if you want any more, it's going to be £1,000 per minute, or whatever you decide is going to be the cost.
Yes.
An idea that I've just had, I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and he works for a sales company. Well, he works in the sales arm of a company, right? And I was talking to him about his job and how they train other salespeople. And he was like, "Oh, nothing happens at all, nothing at all." And I was like, a company it would be really easy for a company to go in and say, "Hey guys, so your best salesman, how does he transmit his knowledge? Can I come in and and the reason why I mention this, because talking head videos, like interview videos where they're sitting down or standing up and doing a presentation, and it's static. Perhaps it's a 2-camera. It's one camera and then another camera, and you've got your basic 3-point lighting. So you're just lighting their face, lighting the back of their head, and with a bit of fill light in as the key, and then the fill. That's a really, really, really simple setup, and it's a really great way for you to cut your teeth if you haven't done that kind of stuff before. And if you can find clients where you can go in and just do that for them, you're going to get some amazing stuff straight away, and people will pay for that. And if you find a position where you can provide value, and I mean, it just came to the top of my head. Perhaps it will work, perhaps it won't. But if you can approach companies and say, "Who's your best salesman?" and they say, "Oh, this person," and you say, "How does he train other people?" and they say, "Oh, well, he doesn't really." And then you can say, "Well, I'll come in and I'll shoot a training video where he will train people how to do. Wouldn't you love it if every single one of your salesmen was like him?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, actually that would be really, really good." And it's like, okay, well, we can make a 10-minute video where he will talk through. He knows your business. He knows how to sell to your clients. He knows exactly what you do. Yes. We can create something that will live on your website where all of your people all around the world, or if they have different branches in different countries and different cities, whatever, will be able to get access to him or her. Isn't that a good idea?
Yes.
And they'll be like, "Yeah,
that's
okay."
actually really good. And that
something like that. I mean, it's the world. The world is full of infinite possibilities. So, I mean, just search and you'll find something. But
that actually sounds really good. Thank you.
So where are we? Oh yeah, find sales team, offer a training video for internal purposes to help their sell to better. Yeah, I mean, there you go.
Yeah. I can't move that now, which is annoying.
No, once you type it and plonk it on, it's permanent. There's a way to share the screen, but that's probably even more resource intensive.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, cool. So, Vasi, any more questions on this?
No, I don't have any questions on that. That's really, really good.
So
I'm just going to grab my charger.
Going to
get her charger.
Oh, okay.
Just taking the computer charger, yeah. that's all perfect.
Okay, great. Well,
Good stuff.
will you stay in touch with us and let us know how it goes, please?
I will definitely stay in touch. Thank you very much for your time, for everything we went through.
Oh,
I really appreciate it.
oh, no problem.
Can you hear me properly? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. It's our absolute pleasure. And when it'll all be plain sailing, I know for sure, but it's inevitably in business, things come up and they're challenging. So when that happens, please reach out to us, and we'll do another one of these in maybe 6 months' time or so, and see where you're at, what you've learned. Because I think your journey from where you are now, starting out brand new, fresh, and then what the challenges that you come up against and the progress that you make, I think that will be really interesting.
Definitely.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. I am a bit nervous, of starting this and everything, but I think it's something that I'm passionate about. So I think that's the most important thing, really. So why not? Why not giving it a try?
Great.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Best of luck.
Thank you. And as you can hear, we also have a cat that just joined the conversation as well. So it will be part of the video.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you once again for your time. I will stay in touch. And this was really helpful. And I hope it will be really helpful for other people looking to start the same thing or similar thing. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, good stuff.
All right, Vasi, lovely to talk to you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Lovely talking to you, and we'll stay in touch and keep each other updated.
Certainly.
All the best.
All the best.
Take care.
Speak to you later. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.